Hi guys, Rick is here with a new video, and today I want to make a little addition on my Void Progress video number 4. In there I told you about my progression from stage 2 to 10 to 2, 4, 10, and as there are some people who want to go that way, reach those stages, I wanted to give you my clear thoughts on the stages that I cleared today. Tend to forget what I used in those stages, so I thought, like, do it as early as I can. I cleared those stages a few hours ago, so I should know for most stages what I used, and thought maybe I can at least give you some ideas of what I did, what my thoughts, what my ideas were, so you might be able to copy it. In general, this is the team that I used. There is one difference, of course. Currently the only homeowner here is Fairy Queen Vessa. During the clear, my main homeowners were Starwing Jara and Aspen. The main reason you want Starwing Jara and Aspen is that they are able to CC the enemy and deal a lot of damage while at it. Which is kind of interesting, because on some stages it was like the Aspen died and the Jara was still able to clear it. So that was quite cool. I saw one stage that she did like 28 billion or something, and was quite impressive. During the 20 stages between 2 to 10 and 2, 4, 10, the speed increases quite drastically. And I have around 1.8 maxed residences, which helped quite a bit. It was more than enough at the beginning. I used some of the CI I didn't need to add speed to my heroes on the Fairy Queen Vessa, which is something I would recommend, because it will help you get some more heals in the early stages, which is quite nice. Later on I had to put everything on the Starwing Jara and the Aspen, and those two are also at level 360 right now. I split the tree of roots mats that are now only on the Fairy Queen Vessa. Those were split between those two, so they were both at level 20 in the tree of roots, which also made it possible to level them to 360 and give them the extra speed of about 30 to 36, I think it was, which also helps you reach those higher speed numbers. In general, good copies with a high speed of Aspen and Starwing Jara can be very helpful if you want to go for Void campaign, and can save you the need of having a lot of CI materials. Not all of it, of course, you will still need some, but a bit. The heroes used here were mostly the same. There are some stages where I had to adapt and use something else, but most of the time it was this. So let's go through some stages, and I will explain for every stage if there's something special, if I had to change the team a bit, and maybe you can take my ideas and build your own team around it. I can't give you really the solution, like use this artifact, use those heroes and it will magically clear. Most of the time this doesn't work. Accounts are a little bit different. You might have better copies. It is an entirely different story, for example, if you have a good AT hero, if you have like an AT Vessa with Giant Killer. I didn't have Giant Killer on any of my AT heroes, so they were mostly the same as B or B plus heroes. Not far more useful. For the first stage here, there is really nothing you have to adapt. You should be faster than the Homesyungs and the Oberons with the Aspen. If you are faster than the Homesyungs and the Oberons with the Aspen, you can just CC them on turn 1 with Aspen, then build up your energy feed. I used an energy feed, by the way. I didn't know if I said that. All the heroes other than Aspen and Starwing Jara used a Demon Bell. Aspen and Starwing Jara used a Receptor. You can build up your energy on the Starwing Jara and then hit them with a big Starwing Jara active on turn 2, which will CC them. And from this point on, it's basically just a question of do you get the right RNG? do they purify the right things, or does Holmes Young break out? If Holmes Young breaks out, you're dead. And the only thing you have to do is try it often enough and you will beat it. Nothing much to say here. For 232, that's a little special stage. King Barton is always a problem for teams like the one I used, because as every time we hit King Barton, he does a huge amount of damage, and we can't allow ourselves to hit him that often before CCing him. There are a few heroes you can use, but the team I showed before has its problems against it, as there are a lot of heroes in there that hit all the enemies, or hit the front row at least. So what you should do is you should put Holmes Young into your team instead of like the S model, for example, and you should put SFX in your team. Those are two heroes that don't hit the King Bartons, and you can use those to your advantage and use them for the energy feed. And if you have those in your team, you will likely be able to feed your Starwing Jorah so that she can do an active and CC those down. If you use Aspen with a Rui Scepter, that's no problem as well. He will only hit the back row, so won't trigger the King Bartons. Then you have the Starwing Jorah and two more heroes that will not hit the front row. The SAH and the SFX. Both will hit other heroes if they have energy. And then you have two more heroes which can hit the back row. If you use Uvessa in your team and you have good RNG, she might not even hit it. It's not guaranteed. And then you basically only have one hero left that will, in that case, hit the back row. And this is okay, it will work out for you. In the long term at least, might be some bad attempts, but this will work out. And as soon as you basically have the King Barton CC'd and you keep them CC'd, you have no problem with this stage. 233, that's a really mean one. That's a really mean one. I cleared it with an LFA with a Harp as a damage dealer. And I fought the Gustin first. Has the reason that all those guys there are healers, and they heal for so much. If you fight it for the first time, you will think you don't do damage at all. I didn't think so. I tried it for like 20 minutes, 30 minutes or something, and then I said, okay, let the macro do it, and went with the team. And 2 hours later, Guildmate wrote me, hey, you cleared that stage, and I was very happy that I did so. Basically put a Harp Aspen in front of this Gustin, use a regular energy feed, lock them down, and if you get good damage from your Aspen, good link with the Gustin, and some good hits, you will clear it, and it will take some attempts, definitely. But it's all just the CC and where the Gustin links, that's the main part of the RNG. Then we have 2, 3, 4. Nothing much to say here. It's a full assassin wave. You have a Drake. Drake means don't use a crown on your lowest life hero. Won't matter, won't help you. Use something like an A and B or an MSS instead. If you are still faster than the enemy, all those rules don't really apply. Then you basically only have to deal with those two heroes. And if you go with the turn 2 Starwing Jorah, this stage should be no problem. Meaning that the Drake is there, and if you're likely still faster with the Aspen. If you are not, you have other problem. You can also use a Demon Bell on your lowest life hero and basically keep the team as it is. Another thing I should mention is you should strategically position your LFA well, as he's your damage dealer. You want to kill a hero with him, and in best case get the big hit from this hero. As part of his active, he has the secondary hits that he can do if he kills a hero. This will help you as well, so you can decide against which hero you want to fight first. I mainly either use heroes that are dangerous, like Holmes Young, or heroes that are weak and don't have a lot of HP, like Delasium, for example. But this stage should be no problem as well. I was quite surprised that this was no problem. I mean, this looks dangerous. You have the Transcendence Heroes, you have MFF, you have the Star Devourer Eos, Star Alchemist Tomes, all those guys, and you really the only dangerous part here is the Forces. If this guy attacks on turn 2 with an active, your team is dead, so you can use the same team, it won't be a problem, because other than most Transcendence stages, this stage doesn't include Hellora. There's no Hellora enemy here, and this is mostly what makes those dangerous. Just lock them down with the Aspen, and you have to look that you are faster than the Forces on turn 2. The S-Model will help you with that, as he's in the back row. If he gets hit with an S-Model active, his speed will be reduced, and this will be much easier. But this stage was done in one attempt, no problem there. Then we have the 236. 236 is as well no problem. As long as you CC the Annabelles, they won't steal you your active skill. And the other heroes are nothing we should need to adapt for in any form. Then we have this one. This one is annoying. This one really is annoying. Will give you a lot of pain. We have, for one, we have the Holmes Youngs. Those are super fast in Void Campaign. I don't know why. Don't ask me. They are super fast. I think they have a speed passive. Also helps them. Very annoying. And we have Sherlocks. Those Sherlocks basically can't be CC'd every time they get a CC effect on them. They will reflect it back to you. But you still have to use CC, because if you don't CC the Holmes Youngs, you are dead. And if you don't CC the Delasiums, you are dead, because Delasiums in Void Campaign hit for like 150 million per hit. So that's insane. Another issue you have with this stage is your damage over time effects on your heroes and your control effects that are on your heroes nearly won't run out, because we have enemy Delasiums. So that's an issue. And as much as you want to run Dot Purify here to get rid of this pesky Star Alchemist Holmes Dot, you have to run CC Purify. Because for one, those Sherlocks will put doves on your heroes, and you will get the CC of your Starving Jara reflected by directly back at you. Then we have Silence. If somebody from your team dies and your Vesa puts Silence on the enemies, this will get reflected back to you as well by the Sherlocks. And we have Dazzle if you use Eos. So a lot of options to get problems here. I put my LFA in that case so that it attacks this Holmes Young. It took quite a few attempts. You have to make sure you are faster than the back row enemies. You don't want those Holmes Youngs to attack. It is more than difficult enough to have the Sherlocks attack in this case. So don't make it even more difficult by having any of those back row minions attack. Those Delasiums will put your heroes directly into Unbending Will if they attack one of them. So that's already an issue, and every hero that attacks basically triggers the potion throws from those Holmes Youngs, so you don't want that. And another thing I want to recommend on heroes that are not damage dealers, and we have as damage dealer basically Starving Jara and the LFA, use defensive imprints. You have the option on Transcendence Heroes to use defensive imprints. Use something like damage reduction block armor. It really gives your heroes a lot of effective HP. For this stage in particular, though, I would recommend taking the block off and putting control immunity on these support heroes. Especially the Fairy Queen Vesa is very important for your team to survive. She basically has to attack every turn and has to heal your heroes so the dot doesn't kill them. If you keep all those things in mind, quick Vesa, quick LFA, quick Starving Jara, and the Vesa that should attack every turn, you should be able to clear this. It will take a lot of attempts. That much I can say. You can Google BlueStacks macro, make yourself a good macro, and let this run for a few hours, and you will get through it eventually. Next one, no problems here. A thing that can help to clear this is Mark Purify, but really had no issues to me. Gloria is always a little bit problematic because she puts these bubble marks on your heroes, and if those explode, they can one-shot you at those stages. So if you experience that, you can use Mark Purify to get rid of it. Otherwise, Dot Purify can be helpful to deal with the wall decks. I didn't adjust anything, to be honest, and cleared it very easily. This one is the same. We again have Gloria. Marks can be deadly, so yeah, use Mark Purify, and as long as the Annabelle stays CC'd, you should have, and the Glorious at that, you should have no problem. Okay, for the last one, this is one that people tend to get stuck if they reach it. Most people, of course, get stuck already on where was it? I lost it. 237? 237 on this one. But the ones that clear that sometimes get stuck here, because this is also pretty mean stage. We have a Halora, so counterattacks, not great. And we have SFX as the main boss. And what I did here, I switched homeowners. I kept using my Starving Jara as the CC proved quite nice. Oh, we have some kids outside the play. I hope you don't hear them. As the Starving Jara helped quite a lot. But my main house homeowner was switched to S-Model the Dauntless. I have a pretty good B tier S-Model the Dauntless. And as some of you sometimes forget, or I forget too at that, S-Model is a pretty good damage dealer for PvE, and especially good if the enemies put out a lot of hits and maybe even some of your heroes die. And this replaced my Aspen as the main damage dealer and helped me get through the stage. I really put a lot of resources into this S-Model and used him with the Punisher staff. And then I had the Halora as lowest dive with the crown, and my Aspen was still in the team even though he was no homeowner, and I put a crown on him as well because he tended to die, and you really don't want that SFX to get a kill because she will get impeccable flow and she will destroy your team in that case. But with the S-Model, with the Punisher staff on him, it was pretty a quick clear. Not a whole lot of problems here. I think with S-Model I cleared it on like the second attempt or something. So quite good. And we are already in stage 2 for the last one we have to clear to unlock our first core. And this one starts off with an assassin stage. Those assassins are already quite strong, so I recommend a combination of Halora, for example, as lowest life hero, with a crown on her. We have no Drake in the enemy team, and S-Model in the team to give her the extra shield. What you can also do is Fairy Queen Vessa as lowest life. I didn't want to change too many things, so I didn't do that. But Fairy Queen Vessa can't be crit, so it's even better than Halora. But most of the time I used Halora as lowest life. If you do that, this stage again can be CC'd quite easily with the fast Starving Jara. I switched back to the fast Aspen at this point, took out the S-Model as homeowner, even though he could likely do this stage as well, should be no problem for him, and used Aspen again. Then for 242, yeah, those Xeers are really a pain. When they get one active off, they will kill your team. They do like 15 hits, each hit does like 100 million damage, and they take out like 4 heroes with one active. This is really annoying. Another thing that I noticed was these Floras are super fast. Like really super fast. I don't know what speed they have, but they are beyond the usual heroes, and this is quite insane. You can still CC them with Aspen, and afterwards with Starwing Jara, and you can use the usual strat I use for other stages. It will just include a lot of RNG, as those Xias are quite hard to crowd control and will break out sometimes, and every time one breaks out and gets to attack, you are dead and your attempt is done. So keep that in mind. You need quite a lot of speed here, but the usual team works. Then we have 243. I saw that and I thought like, oh god, last stage was RNG without an end. And I spent like 2 hours on it because those Xias kept breaking out. And then I see this and think like, yeah, great, dodge and energy drain. That's what I wanted. And I cleared it on the first attempt. And it was quite easy. Yeah, really not much to say here. Didn't change anything. You can of course go for Mark Purify if you want to get rid of the carry mark, but I wouldn't really recommend so, because the Aspen attack can horrify and I think silence as well. Not quite sure. So I kept control Purify on here, and stage was done quite fast. Positioned the LFA, by the way, in front of the Drakes because I wanted to get rid of those first. Because defense down is always something we don't like. Then we have this. Honestly, looks more difficult than it is. The only thing that is a bit strange here, we have the ticks and we have the Delasiums, so we need attribute reduction Purify, because otherwise the ticks will drain our energy and the Delasiums will make it so this will last forever. This stage is quite strange because it somehow switches the attack around of your heroes. So sometimes one hero does a lot of damage and the other one does like nothing, and then next round is entirely different. It's a little bit funny. It's quite interesting to see. What you really have to do though is again CC, and we have to keep those forces locked down. So at this point you will already need a huge amount of speed. As I said in the other video, I don't know if I said it in this video, I recommend having like 2300 speed on your Aspen at least, maybe a bit more. 2310 would be better, and I recommend having like 2280 speed on your Starving Jar. If you can get more, that's great, but at those values you should be pretty safe. And as I said, with an A tier, those rules are a bit different, if you have Giant Kill, of course. So keep those locked down, use Attribute Reduction Purify, and CC everything with the usual strat, and you should get through the stage quite fine. Then we have this one. This was again a very easy stage. We have no Hellora. Hellora is the pain usually in those stages. And it worked quite fine. The only thing that was a bit annoying is this EOS, because this EOS is super tanky. My god, this EOS is tanky. Those Transcendence heroes die off super fast, and then you have this EOS, and my Aspen with maxed house lost a 1 versus 1 against this EOS, and I was quite annoyed by it. And most attempts failed because I didn't clear that EOS in time. But you shouldn't have too much of a problem, really. The usual strat works basically, and you are pretty much fine on this one. Again, it's really like we have some difficult stages, and those are basically the ones we have to look out for. This stage was again a Xia stage, and it was even worse because we have light heroes for extra control immunity, aura buff. Yeah, not that great. And then it's like a little block team because we have the pandas, so everything gets extra armor, makes it harder to clear. It's a little bit annoying. Use control immunity, control purify here, especially on your 2 lowest HP heroes. My lowest HP heroes were Asmodel and Hellora, and those two can be dazzled. It's not that much of a problem. It's nicer if they aren't, so using control immunity imprint here and control purify can give you some rounds really that which they are not dazzled, so can hit the entire team. So especially the Hellora can help there because they enhances the crit damage the enemies take and makes it easier for you to get them down. But other than that, normal CC strat, and you can get through the stage. If one of those Russes lifts up in the air and becomes control immune during that, or one of those Xias breaks out and makes an active, you are of course dead. So those pandas are not that dangerous, even though I've seen them hit for quite some damage on later rounds. But they do like one hit, so even if they hit you into Unbending Will, so what? You still have a few layers, so you're alright. For 247, yeah, this is another stage that was kind of a pain, really. Not a whole lot of mechanics. We just have a few threats that are hard to deal with. We have the Floras, we have the Gustin, and that's about it. I thought the Penny might be dangerous, but really no, she wasn't. And the Waldeck dot didn't matter as well, and Freya is useless. But I said it before, those Floras are super fast, and they are faster than 2300 speed, but their basic is rubbish, so we can ignore it. It's a little bit different here. They are in the front row, so it can be a problem if we can't see them that easily. They can get off an active, which isn't that great, but can still work if you have like fast Starving Jara, fast Aspen. I positioned the Aspen in front of the Gustin this time as well. It's very offensive strat, but it worked. It worked more than often. It's often worth to get rid of the Gustin first, because you really survive by using Unbending Will in a lot of those fights. And even if you have a Gustin link on you and there is like a dot that hits the Gustin, or your SQH does one hit and hits the Gustin for like 5 million attack, he will reflect that back to you and take off one day of your Unbending Will, which hinders your survivability a lot. So keep that in mind. Have a high speed on your Starving Jara, and you can use the regular team and get through here in relatively low time, given you get good Gustin links. It's all about the Gustin links in this stage. Yeah, let's look at 248. This was, again, another stage that was a bit hard. There are two things. There are four threats here. The first threat is this EOS. It's again a super fast EOS, so you will have some problems with it. The next one is a Holmes Young, can't do an active, we know it. Then we have the Gloria. Her mark damage is insane on this stage. And we have the Forces, who of course also can't be allowed to do an active skill. So what do? We basically have to allow EOS to be faster than us. I found no way to be faster than her. That means we could have used Snow Hearts, of course, but I don't like using Snow Hearts. I have the opinion that most of the time they make it harder to win, even if you're faster, than it would be if you were slower. So what we do is, we use, again, our Aspen, we use Starving Jara, and what is very important here, we use Asmodel. Asmodel will debuff the speed on those back row heroes, making it harder for them to be faster than us in the next turn, even if they are maybe be faster in turn 1. For me it was like the Holmes Young was faster and the Forces was faster, and those two in the front row were faster. I could see the Delasium and the Gloria with my Aspen, but this was alright to survive. What I recommend though, and what you should definitely have, you should put Mark Purify on your heroes. This is the reason that Gloria spreads her mark over some of those heroes, and if in turn 2 the EOS is still faster than you, which she will likely be, and she hits 4 or 5 heroes, I don't exactly know how many with her active, and if there's even one Gloria mark between those, the hero with the Gloria mark will die. Just through Unbending Will and everything, this hero will die. And you can totally avoid that by using Mark Purifier on your heroes, which really isn't dangerous, because if this Holmes Young, which is nearly the only source of CC, the other one being Jara, gets an active off, you're dead. Just like that, you're dead. So you can use Mark Purify to avoid the Gloria Mark, and once on turn 2, as soon as on turn 2 your Starving Jara gets an active off and you have the whole enemy team CC'd, the speed doesn't play a role anymore and your team can go through it, and you just need enough rounds of CC to get rid of the enemy team. In this fight, by the way, I attacked the Delasium first with my LFA. So something you can look out for. So Mark Purify, and don't worry if you're not faster than all the enemies. On turn 2 you can fix this with the Starving Jara. Then we have 249, easy stage, nothing to really look out for. I actually had a setup mistake, still had the Mark Purify on here, and despite getting taunted all the time, I bet this stage, so it's not that difficult. Morax can be dangerous, but CC him and you won't have problems here. And then we have 2-4-10, and if you care for 2-4-10 and the fight we did on 2-4-10, this is in the other video. In the Void Progress Update video you can see the entire fight. Setup should be visible in the fight, nothing too fancy there. Control Purify to get rid of Starving Jara CC and Aspen CC really, and that's about it. So with that, guys, I hope you're successful claiming your first core, getting to your first core, and we will see us in the next video.